My name is Elena Rodriguez, and I am 34 years old. As I sat in the mahogany-paneled conference room of Sterling and Associates, watching my former boss Marcus Hamilton's hands shake as he pushed a contract across the table, I could not help but smile at the beautiful irony of the moment. 6 months ago, this same man had cut my salary by 20% despite my generating the highest revenue in company history. Today, he was offering me triple my original compensation, equity partnership, and complete creative control over client relationships, all because his biggest clients had given him an ultimatum: give them access to Elena Rodriguez, or they would take their multi-million-dollar accounts elsewhere. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The folder beside me contained copies of client emails, each more damning than the last. We will only proceed with this campaign if Elena Rodriguez is the lead strategist. Ms. Rodriguez understands our vision in ways that your other team members simply cannot match. Our previous success was entirely due to Elena's innovative approach. We require her involvement for any future projects. Hidden in my briefcase was something even more precious: the termination notice Marcus had prepared just 2 weeks ago, planning to fire me entirely after I had built the relationships that now kept his company afloat. The conference room felt smaller than I remembered, though nothing had physically changed about Sterling and Associates' executive floor. The same floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the bustling downtown district where I had spent countless evenings, working late to exceed every target Marcus set for me. The same leather chairs surrounded the imported Italian marble table where I had presented campaign strategies that generated millions in new business. The same oil paintings of company founders lined the walls, men who had built this advertising agency into one of the most prestigious firms in the region through innovation and client service. Values that Marcus had apparently forgotten in his pursuit of personal advancement. But everything else was different now. 6 months ago, I had sat in a smaller chair at the far end of this table, listening to Marcus explain why the company needed to optimize compensation structures despite record-breaking performance metrics. Today, I occupied the power position, with Marcus leaning forward desperately as 3 of his most valuable clients sat beside me, their expressions making clear that my decision would determine whether Sterling and Associates survived the next quarter. The transformation had not happened overnight. For 3 years, I had systematically built relationships with clients who appreciated my strategic thinking, creative approach, and ability to understand their brands in ways that generated measurable results. While Marcus focused on office politics and took credit for my innovations during board presentations, I was quietly becoming indispensable to the people who actually paid the bills. Every late-night brainstorming session, every weekend spent refining campaign concepts, every client dinner where I listened carefully to concerns that Marcus dismissed as unimportant, all of it had been building toward this moment when talent could no longer be denied or diminished. Marcus had always underestimated the depth of my client relationships, assuming that his title as creative director meant that clients viewed him as the valuable asset, rather than recognizing me as the driving force behind their success. His arrogance had blinded him to the reality that clients cared about results rather than organizational charts, and that loyalty followed value rather than hierarchy. When he made the catastrophic decision to cut my compensation while simultaneously preparing to terminate my employment, he had unknowingly triggered a series of events that would expose just how completely he had misunderstood the foundations of his own business. The irony was almost too perfect. Marcus had spent months complaining to senior management about my unrealistic expectations regarding compensation and advancement, arguing that my demands for recognition were inappropriate, given my junior status within the organization. He had positioned himself as the strategic mastermind behind our most successful campaigns while relegating me to execution support in official documentation, despite the fact that every innovative concept, Every breakthrough strategy and every client relationship breakthrough had originated from my research, creativity, and relationship-building efforts. What Marcus failed to realize was that clients had been paying attention to who actually delivered results rather than who took credit in meetings. They noticed that campaign quality declined when I was excluded from projects. They observed that their most successful initiatives consistently featured my strategic input and creative direction. Most importantly, they had begun requesting my direct involvement in new projects and expressing concerns when Marcus attempted to assign other team members to their accounts. The client uprising had begun 3 weeks ago when Meridian Industries, our largest account worth $12 million annually, had called an emergency meeting to discuss their upcoming product launch campaign. Marcus had confidently presented a strategy developed by his newly hired senior strategist, a Harvard MBA with impressive credentials but no practical experience in Meridian's complex telecommunications market. The presentation had been competent, but generic, lacking the deep industry insight and innovative thinking that Meridian had come to expect from Sterling and Associates. "Where is Elena?" Catherine Morrison, Meridian's chief marketing officer, had asked directly. "She understands our market positioning better than anyone. Her last campaign increased our market share by 15% in 6 months. We need her strategic input for this launch." Marcus had fumbled through an explanation about developing team capabilities and providing growth opportunities for emerging talent, while attempting to assure Catherine that the new strategist could deliver equivalent results. His confidence had evaporated when Catherine politely but firmly stated that Meridian would postpone the campaign launch until Elena Rodriguez could be directly involved in strategy development. The second domino had fallen 2 days later when Apex Financial, worth $8 million in annual billings, had sent a formal letter requesting that all future projects include my direct participation as lead strategist. Their CEO, Robert Chen, had been explicit in his reasoning. Ms. Rodriguez delivered a brand repositioning campaign that exceeded our most optimistic projections. Our trust in Sterling and Associates is specifically based on her involvement in our account. The third and most devastating blow had come from Pinnacle Retail Group, whose $15 million account represented nearly 30% of Sterling and Associates' total revenue. Their marketing director, Sarah Walsh, had scheduled a conference call that Marcus assumed would be routine project approval. Instead, she had delivered an ultimatum that shattered his assumptions about client loyalty and agency relationships. "Marcus, we need to discuss Elena Rodriguez's role in our upcoming holiday campaign," Sarah had begun with the kind of professional directness that indicated serious business implications. "Our board specifically requested her involvement based on last year's remarkable performance. The campaign she developed increased our holiday sales by 28%, the highest improvement in our company's history." Marcus had attempted to maintain control of the conversation by emphasizing his own leadership role and the collaborative nature of campaign development. His explanations had become increasingly desperate as Sarah made clear that Pinnacle's continued relationship with Sterling and Associates depended entirely on my involvement in their strategic planning. "I appreciate the team approach," Sarah had responded with barely concealed impatience. "But Elena's strategic insight and creative vision drove our success. If she is not available to lead our upcoming campaigns, we will need to explore other agency relationships that can provide the level of innovation and results we require." The conversation had ended with Marcus promising to review resource allocation while privately panicking about the implications of losing Pinnacle's account. 3 major clients demanding my direct involvement represented an existential threat to his authority and potentially to the agency's financial stability. More devastating was the realization that his strategy of minimizing my role while taking credit for my innovations had created a situation where clients viewed him as dispensable while considering me essential. The crisis had accelerated when Marcus discovered that I had been documenting every client interaction, every strategic recommendation, and every creative breakthrough that had driven our most successful campaigns. My meticulous record-keeping provided undeniable evidence of my contributions, while exposing the gap between his public claims about campaign development and the reality of who actually created value for clients. The documentation painted a devastating picture of Marcus's leadership. Client emails consistently praised my strategic insights while barely mentioning his involvement. Campaign performance metrics correlated directly with my level of participation in strategy development. Revenue growth patterns aligned with projects where I had been given creative freedom rather than constrained by his conventional thinking and risk-averse approach. Most damaging were the client feedback forms that I had been quietly collecting through direct relationship management. Meridian Industries had specifically noted that their most successful campaigns featured Elena's innovative strategic approach and deep understanding of our market dynamics. Apex Financial had written that Elena Rodriguez demonstrates exceptional creative vision and strategic thinking that consistently exceeds our expectations. Pinnacle Retail Group had formally recommended that Elena should be given expanded authority over strategic planning given her remarkable track record of delivering breakthrough results. The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. While Marcus had been focused on internal politics and credit allocation, I had been building the client relationships and developing the strategic innovations that actually drove business success. His attempts to diminish my role had created a disconnect between organizational hierarchy and client value perception that ultimately made his position untenable. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The breaking point had arrived when Marcus, in a desperate attempt to regain control over the situation, had presented senior management with a proposal to terminate my employment while redistributing my client responsibilities among other team members. His argument had centered on cost optimization and team development, but the underlying motivation was clearly his discomfort with client demands for my direct involvement in their most important projects. Senior management had initially supported Marcus's proposal, accepting his assessment that client preferences could be redirected through effective relationship management and superior service delivery. Their confidence had lasted exactly 48 hours until Catherine Morrison from Meridian Industries had called personally to express concerns about rumors regarding changes to their account team. "If Elena Rodriguez is no longer available to work on our campaigns," Catherine had stated with unmistakable clarity, "Meridian Industries will need to find an agency partner that can provide the level of strategic innovation and creative excellence that she consistently delivers. This is not negotiable." The call had been followed by similar conversations with Apex Financial and Pinnacle Retail Group, each making clear that their continued business relationship depended entirely on my involvement in their strategic planning and campaign development. Within 24 hours, Sterling and Associates faced the potential loss of $35 million in annual revenue, representing over 60% of their total client portfolio. The senior management emergency meeting had been scheduled for the following morning, with Marcus attempting to explain how his cost-saving initiative had somehow triggered the largest client crisis in company history. His credibility had been completely destroyed when Robert Chen from Apex Financial had sent a formal letter stating that any agency changes affecting Elena Rodriguez would result in immediate contract termination and transition to a competing firm. The resolution had been swift and unambiguous. Senior management had overruled Marcus's termination recommendation and instead authorized me to negotiate directly with clients to resolve the crisis. More significantly, they had granted me authority to determine my own compensation structure, project assignments, and strategic role within the organization. The transformation from undervalued employee-facing termination to indispensable partner with negotiating authority had taken less than a week. Marcus's attempts to diminish my role had inadvertently created the perfect conditions for demonstrating my actual value to the organization. forcing recognition that could no longer be denied or minimized. Today's meeting represented the formal acknowledgement of what clients had already recognized. My strategic thinking, creative vision, and relationship-building capabilities had become the foundation of Sterling & Associates' most important business relationships. Marcus's signature on the partnership agreement would constitute not just my vindication, but his admission that talent eventually forces recognition, regardless of organizational politics or personal prejudices. The contract terms reflected the complete reversal of our professional dynamic. Instead of the 20% salary reduction that Marcus had implemented 6 months ago, I would receive a base compensation package that tripled my original salary. Rather than being excluded from strategic planning sessions, I would have final authority over all creative direction for our major accounts. Most importantly, clients would have direct access to my expertise without requiring approval or oversight from Marcus or other senior management. The equity partnership provision represented something even more valuable than financial compensation: formal recognition of my contribution to the agency's success and permanent protection against future attempts to diminish my role or authority. As a partner, I would participate in profit distribution that reflected the actual value I created for the organization, rather than accepting whatever compensation others deemed appropriate. The creative control clause ensured that my strategic vision would drive campaign development without interference from conventional thinking or risk-averse management. Clients had consistently requested this level of creative freedom because they recognized that breakthrough results required innovative approaches that challenged industry standards and conventional wisdom. As Marcus signed each page of the partnership agreement, his expression revealed the full impact of recognizing talent that he had systematically undervalued and attempted to suppress. The man who had confidently cut my salary while planning my termination was now legally binding himself to terms that acknowledged my indispensable role in the agency's continued success. The client representatives who witnessed the signing represented more than business relationships. They embodied the principle that value ultimately determines professional success, regardless of organizational hierarchy or personal politics. Their insistence on working exclusively with me had created the leverage necessary to transform my position from vulnerable employee to protected partner. The irony was complete and undeniable. Marcus's efforts to minimize my contributions and control my compensation had created the perfect conditions for demonstrating my actual value to the organization. His short-sighted focus on personal authority had blinded him to the client relationships and strategic innovations that actually drove business success, ultimately forcing him to acknowledge the talent he had tried so hard to suppress. As I accepted the signed partnership agreement, I felt not triumph over Marcus, but satisfaction in having proved that excellence eventually demands recognition, regardless of who attempts to deny it. The clients who had insisted on working exclusively with me had not just saved my career, they had demonstrated that authentic value creation ultimately overcomes organizational politics and personal prejudice. The journey from salary reduction to equity partnership had taken 6 months, but the foundation had been built over 3 years of consistent excellence, innovative thinking, and genuine relationship development with clients who appreciated strategic insight over political maneuvering. Marcus had unwittingly provided the catalyst for recognition that might otherwise have taken years to achieve through conventional advancement processes. The partnership agreement represented more than personal vindication. It demonstrated that talent, properly applied and consistently demonstrated, eventually creates its own authority and demands its own recognition. No amount of organizational politics or personal bias can permanently suppress value that clients recognize and demand. As the meeting concluded and Marcus gathered his materials with obvious discomfort, I realized that this moment represented not an ending, but a beginning. The partnership provided the platform and authority necessary to build something even more significant than individual career success: the opportunity to create an environment where talent is recognized immediately rather than eventually, where innovation is rewarded rather than suppressed, and where client value drives organizational decisions rather than internal politics. The transformation was complete, but the real work was just beginning. The journey that led me to that mahogany conference table began 3.5 years earlier, when I first walked through the glass doors of Sterling and Associates as a junior, account coordinator with a marketing degree from a respectable but unremarkable state university. The agency occupied 4 floors of a prestigious downtown building, with an atmosphere that immediately communicated both creative energy and corporate sophistication. Original artwork lined the corridors. Awards from industry competitions filled custom display cases, and the subtle hum of productive activity suggested an organization where ambitious professionals built careers through exceptional client service and innovative thinking. My academic background had prepared me well for the analytical aspects of advertising strategy, but nothing in my coursework had conveyed the complexity of managing client relationships while navigating internal politics and creative egos. State University's marketing program emphasized practical skills over theoretical frameworks, which proved advantageous when translating client objectives into actionable campaign strategies. While my colleagues often possessed more prestigious credentials, my education had focused on understanding consumer behavior, market research methodologies, and strategic planning processes that directly supported client success. The hiring process had been surprisingly straightforward, with senior management apparently impressed by my portfolio of academic projects and internship work rather than concerned about my lack of Ivy League credentials. Patricia Sterling, the agency's founding partner and primary decision-maker, had conducted my final interview with a focus on strategic thinking rather than cultural fit or social connections. Her questions revealed someone genuinely interested in capabilities rather than superficial qualifications. Marketing is fundamentally about understanding human psychology and translating that understanding into persuasive communication, Patricia had explained during our conversation. Academic pedigree matters less than analytical thinking and creative problem-solving. I am more interested in how you approach challenges than where you learn to approach them. Her philosophy aligned perfectly with my own perspective on professional development. Rather than relying on institutional prestige to open doors, I preferred demonstrating value through consistent performance and innovative solutions. The opportunity at Sterling and Associates represented a chance to prove that talent and dedication could compete effectively with traditional advantages like family connections or elite educational backgrounds. My initial assignment involved supporting Marcus Hamilton, who had joined the agency 6 months earlier as creative director after completing his MBA at Northwestern Kellogg School of Management. Marcus possessed an impressive background that included strategic consulting experience at McKinsey & Company and previous advertising roles at prestigious Chicago agencies. His credentials suggested someone destined for senior leadership, and his confident manner reinforced expectations that he would quickly establish himself as a rising star within the organization. Marcus approached advertising strategy with the systematic methodology that characterized his consulting background, emphasizing data analysis, competitive positioning, and risk management over creative experimentation or innovative thinking. His presentations followed structured formats that impressed senior management while providing clients with comprehensive strategic frameworks that felt thorough and professional. The methodical nature of his approach contrasted sharply with the intuitive creativity that many advertising professionals relied upon, creating an impression of analytical rigor that distinguished him from other creative directors. Working as Marcus's supporting coordinator provided invaluable exposure to high-level strategic planning, while allowing me to observe how successful professionals managed client relationships and internal dynamics. His systematic approach to campaign development included extensive market research, detailed competitive analysis, and carefully structured client presentations that left little to chance or improvisation. These methodologies became foundational elements of my own professional development, though I gradually began incorporating creative elements that Marcus often overlooked or dismissed. The relationship dynamic between Marcus and me established patterns that would persist throughout our professional interaction. He viewed our collaboration as mentor to student rather than colleague to colleague, consistently positioning himself as the strategic authority while relegating me to execution and administrative support. This hierarchical perspective reflected both his consulting background and his assumptions about appropriate roles for junior staff members within agency environments. Marcus's mentoring style emphasized process adherence and systematic thinking, while discouraging independent strategic development or creative exploration. He regularly reminded me that successful advertising careers required mastery of proven methodologies, rather than experimental approaches that might compromise client relationships or agency reputation. His guidance focused on helping me understand established industry practices rather than encouraging innovation or creative risk-taking. The first major project that Marcus assigned to me involved developing market research support for Meridian Industries, a telecommunications company that had recently contracted with Sterling & Associates for a comprehensive brand repositioning campaign. Meridian faced competitive pressure from emerging digital communication platforms and needed strategic guidance for adapting their traditional business model to changing consumer preferences and technological innovations. Marcus's initial strategic framework emphasized Meridian's established market position and corporate stability, recommending messaging that reinforced their reputation for reliable service and comprehensive coverage. His approach reflected conventional telecommunications industry positioning that prioritized trust and dependability over innovation or technological advancement. The strategy was logical and well-researched, but lacked creative elements that could differentiate Meridian from competitors pursuing similar positioning approaches. My research responsibilities included analyzing consumer survey data, competitive intelligence gathering, and demographic trend analysis that would support Marcus's strategic recommendations. The assignment provided opportunities to develop deep understanding of Meridian's market dynamics while building analytical skills that would prove valuable throughout my career. However, the research process also revealed opportunities for innovative positioning that Marcus's conventional framework did not address. Consumer research indicated growing demand for integrated digital communication solutions that combined traditional telecommunications with emerging technologies like cloud-based collaboration platforms and mobile productivity applications. Meridian's corporate infrastructure positioned them well to provide these integrated solutions, but their current messaging focused entirely on traditional service offerings rather than highlighting innovative capabilities that could attract tech-savvy business customers. The demographic analysis revealed generational shifts in communication preferences that created opportunities for positioning Meridian as a forward-thinking technology partner rather than a traditional utility provider. Younger business decision-makers valued innovation and technological sophistication over established reputation and market tenure, suggesting that Meridian's conventional positioning might actually disadvantage them in competitive situations. Most significantly, the competitive intelligence research identified gaps in marketplace messaging that Meridian could exploit through innovative positioning strategies. Their primary competitors emphasized either low-cost service or premium reliability, leaving opportunities for positioning that combined technological innovation with business partnership value propositions. When I presented these research findings to Marcus, his response revealed fundamental differences in our approach to strategic thinking and client service. He acknowledged the quality of my analysis while dismissing the strategic implications as too risky for a conservative client like Meridian. His perspective emphasized maintaining client comfort rather than challenging them to pursue innovative positioning that could generate competitive advantages. Elena, your research is thorough and well documented, Marcus explained with the patient tone that managers reserve for explaining limitations to overly ambitious subordinates. However, Meridian hired us to reinforce their market position, not to experiment with unproven strategies that might confuse their customer base or alienate their traditional supporters. His analysis focused on risk mitigation rather than opportunity exploitation, reflecting a consulting mindset that prioritized client retention over breakthrough results. Marcus viewed advertising strategy as risk management rather than creative problem-solving, leading him to recommend conventional approaches that satisfied client expectations while avoiding innovative elements that might generate superior outcomes. The philosophical difference became more apparent during client presentations, where Marcus emphasized safety and predictability, while I privately recognized opportunities for creative approaches that could deliver exceptional results. His presentations satisfied client expectations while missing chances to exceed those expectations through innovative thinking and strategic creativity. Despite these frustrations, working with Marcus provided invaluable learning opportunities that strengthened my analytical capabilities while revealing the limitations of purely systematic approaches to creative challenges. His methodical framework became a foundation that I could build upon, rather than a constraint that limited strategic possibilities. The Meridian project concluded successfully according to conventional metrics, generating modest market share, improvements, and reinforcing their established brand position. However, I recognized that more innovative positioning could have achieved significantly better results while establishing Meridian as a market leader rather than a reliable follower. The experience taught me that client satisfaction and optimal outcomes were not always equivalent. My second major assignment involved supporting campaign development for Apex Financial, a regional investment advisory firm that needed strategic guidance for expanding their client base among high-net-worth individuals. The project provided opportunities to apply lessons learned from the Meridian engagement while developing expertise in financial services marketing, a complex field that required deep understanding of regulatory constraints and sophisticated client psychology. Marcus approached the Apex engagement with the same systematic methodology that had characterized his Meridian work, emphasizing comprehensive market research and conservative strategic positioning. His framework focused on trust building and relationship development, conventional approaches that reflected industry best practices for financial services marketing. The strategy was professionally competent, but lacked creative elements that could differentiate Apex from numerous competitors pursuing identical positioning approaches. The research phase for Apex revealed opportunities for innovative messaging that could highlight their boutique service model and personalized client attention as competitive advantages over larger institutional competitors. High-net-worth investors consistently expressed frustration with impersonal service and generic investment strategies offered by major financial institutions, creating opportunities for positioning Apex as a premium alternative that provided customized solutions and direct partner access. Consumer interviews revealed sophisticated client expectations that extended beyond traditional investment performance metrics to include strategic planning, tax optimization, and estate planning integration. Apex's comprehensive service model positioned them well to address these complex needs, but their current messaging focused primarily on investment returns rather than highlighting their holistic wealth management capabilities. The competitive analysis identified messaging opportunities in areas that larger competitors often neglected due to their institutional structure and standardized service offerings. Apex could emphasize flexibility, responsiveness, and personalized attention as core value propositions that resonated with clients seeking alternatives to bureaucratic institutional relationships. When I presented these findings to Marcus, his response followed patterns established during the Meridian engagement. He praised my research quality while expressing concerns about strategic recommendations that challenged conventional financial services positioning. His risk-averse perspective led him to recommend messaging strategies that aligned with industry standards rather than exploring innovative approaches that could generate competitive advantages. The disconnect between research insights and strategic recommendations became increasingly frustrating as I recognized that clients were hiring Sterling and Associates for innovative thinking rather than conventional strategy consulting. Our value proposition should have centered on creative problem-solving and breakthrough results, rather than systematic analysis and risk mitigation. However, The Apex engagement provided my first opportunity to interact directly with clients during research phases and strategic development sessions. These interactions revealed that sophisticated business leaders appreciated innovative thinking and creative approaches to competitive challenges. They had hired advertising professionals specifically because they wanted strategic perspectives that differed from traditional consulting methodologies. Robert Chen, Apex Financial's managing partner, demonstrated particular interest in strategic recommendations that challenged conventional industry positioning. During research presentation sessions, he consistently asked questions that indicated appreciation for innovative thinking and creative problem-solving approaches that could differentiate his firm from institutional competitors. Elena, your analysis identifies opportunities that our previous marketing consultants completely missed, Robert commented after one particularly detailed presentation about positioning strategies. Your understanding of our competitive dynamics and client psychology exceeds what we typically receive from advertising agencies. Have you considered developing these insights into comprehensive strategic recommendations? Robert's question revealed client hunger for innovative strategic thinking rather than conventional industry approaches. His appreciation for my research insights suggested that clients valued analytical depth and creative problem-solving over systematic methodology and risk avoidance. The recognition provided encouragement for developing more comprehensive strategic frameworks that combined analytical rigor with innovative positioning approaches. The third major project that shaped my early career development involved campaign strategy for Pinnacle Retail Group, a regional department store chain that needed comprehensive brand repositioning to compete effectively with national retailers and emerging e-commerce platforms. The assignment represented Sterling and Associates' largest engagement and provided opportunities to work on complex strategic challenges that required both analytical sophistication and creative innovation. Pinnacle faced existential threats from multiple competitive directions, including national retail chains with superior operational efficiency and online platforms that offered greater convenience and selection. Their traditional positioning emphasized customer service and community connection, values that remained important, but no longer provided sufficient competitive differentiation in rapidly evolving retail markets. Marcus approached the Pinnacle engagement with heightened systematic rigor, recognizing that success or failure would significantly impact his reputation within the agency and his prospects for advancement to senior leadership positions. His strategic framework emphasized comprehensive market analysis and careful positioning that minimized risks while reinforcing Pinnacle's established market relationships. The research phase for Pinnacle required extensive consumer behavior analysis, competitive intelligence gathering, and demographic trend evaluation that provided deep insights into retail market evolution and consumer preference shifts. The assignment allowed me to develop expertise in retail marketing while building analytical capabilities that would prove valuable throughout my career. Consumer research revealed fundamental changes in shopping behavior that created both challenges and opportunities for regional retailers like Pinnacle. Traditional advantages such as personal service and community connection remained valuable, but consumers increasingly prioritized convenience, selection, and value optimization over relationship-based shopping experiences. However, the research also identified emerging consumer segments that valued curated selection, personalized service, and authentic community connection over mass market efficiency and generic online experiences. These sophisticated consumers represented opportunities for premium positioning that could generate higher margins while building sustainable competitive advantages over institutional competitors. The demographic analysis revealed generational differences in shopping preferences that created opportunities for innovative positioning strategies. Younger consumers valued experiential retail and social connection, while older customers prioritized personal service and product expertise. Pinnacle's store format and market position enabled them to address both segments through differentiated approaches that larger competitors could not replicate. The competitive intelligence research identified specific positioning gaps that Pinnacle could exploit through innovative strategic approaches. National retailers emphasized operational efficiency and price competitiveness, while e-commerce platforms prioritized convenience and selection. Neither competitive segment effectively addressed consumer desire for curated experiences and personalized service that regional retailers could provide through innovative positioning and operational excellence. When I presented these research findings to Marcus, his response revealed the same risk-averse perspective that had characterized previous engagements. He acknowledged the quality of my analysis while expressing concerns about strategic recommendations that challenged conventional retail positioning approaches. His systematic methodology led him to recommend conservative strategies that satisfied client expectations while missing opportunities for breakthrough positioning that could generate exceptional results. The pattern was becoming clear and increasingly frustrating. My research consistently identified innovative opportunities that could differentiate clients and generate competitive advantages, while Marcus's strategic framework emphasized conventional approaches that minimized risks while limiting potential outcomes. The disconnect between analytical insights and strategic recommendations suggested fundamental philosophical differences about the purpose and potential of advertising strategy. However, the Pinnacle engagement provided expanded opportunities for direct client interaction during research presentations and strategy development sessions. These conversations revealed that sophisticated business leaders appreciated innovative thinking and were often frustrated by conventional consulting approaches that failed to address their competitive challenges effectively. Sarah Walsh, Pinnacle's marketing director, demonstrated particular appreciation for strategic insights that challenged industry assumptions and identified unconventional opportunities for competitive differentiation. Her questions during research presentations indicated sophisticated understanding of retail market dynamics and genuine interest in innovative approaches that could generate breakthrough results. Elena, your analysis identifies positioning opportunities that our previous consultants never recognized, Sarah observed during one strategic planning session. Your understanding of consumer psychology and competitive dynamics suggests strategic possibilities that could transform our market position. Have you developed comprehensive recommendations based on these insights? Sarah's feedback reinforced my growing recognition that clients valued innovative strategic thinking over conventional consulting methodologies. Her appreciation for my research insights and strategic recommendations provided confidence for developing more comprehensive frameworks that combined analytical rigor with creative positioning approaches. The foundation years at Sterling & Associates established patterns that would define my professional trajectory and eventual transformation from undervalued coordinator to indispensable strategic partner. Working with Marcus provided invaluable exposure to systematic analytical methodologies while revealing the limitations of risk-averse strategic thinking in competitive environments that rewarded innovation and creative problem-solving. More importantly, direct client interactions during research and strategy development phases revealed that sophisticated business leaders valued analytical depth and innovative thinking over conventional approaches and systematic risk avoidance. Their appreciation for my strategic insights provided motivation for developing comprehensive capabilities that could deliver breakthrough results rather than merely satisfying conventional expectations. The disconnect between my analytical capabilities and Marcus's strategic framework created ongoing tension that would eventually escalate into direct conflict. However, this foundational period established the expertise, client relationships, and innovative thinking that would ultimately force recognition of my indispensable value to Sterling & Associates' most important business relationships. The stage was set for the escalating confrontations that would reveal the true dynamics of talent recognition in competitive professional environments. The transformation from supportive coordinator to strategic innovator occurred gradually during my second year at Sterling & Associates, as I began developing comprehensive campaign strategies that exceeded client expectations while Marcus continued positioning himself as the primary creative authority. The disconnect between my contributions and his public representation of our collaborative work created mounting tension that would eventually force a reckoning about talent recognition and professional advancement within the agency. The shift began with the Phoenix Manufacturing account, a mid-sized industrial equipment company that approached Sterling and Associates seeking strategic guidance for expanding their market presence beyond traditional manufacturing sectors. Phoenix had developed innovative automation technologies that could revolutionize small business operations, but their engineering-focused leadership lacked marketing expertise necessary for reaching non-industrial customer segments effectively. Marcus assigned me primary responsibility for developing market research and competitive analysis that would support his strategic framework for Phoenix's expansion campaign. The assignment represented expanded authority compared to previous projects, though Marcus maintained clear expectations that my role would remain analytical rather than strategic. He envisioned my research supporting his conventional positioning approach, rather than challenging fundamental assumptions about Phoenix's market opportunities. The research phase revealed extraordinary strategic possibilities that conventional manufacturing marketing approaches could not address effectively. Phoenix's automation technologies offered small businesses operational efficiency improvements that could generate substantial cost savings and productivity gains, but communicating these complex benefits required sophisticated messaging strategies that transcended traditional industrial marketing methodologies. Consumer interviews with small business owners revealed frustration with operational inefficiencies that Phoenix's technologies could address directly. However, these potential customers lacked technical expertise necessary for understanding engineering specifications and implementation requirements. The communication challenge involved translating complex technological capabilities into accessible business value propositions that resonated with non-technical decision-makers. The competitive analysis identified significant gaps in marketplace messaging that Phoenix could exploit through innovative positioning strategies. Traditional automation companies emphasize technical specifications and engineering capabilities, while small business service providers focused on relationship building and support services. Neither competitive segment effectively communicated the strategic business transformation that Phoenix's technologies could enable for sophisticated customers. Most importantly, the demographic research revealed emerging small business segments that valued technological innovation and operational optimization over traditional vendor relationships and established service models. These growth-oriented entrepreneurs represented premium market opportunities that could generate higher margins while building sustainable competitive advantages over institutional competitors. When I presented these research findings to Marcus, his response revealed fundamental limitations in his strategic thinking that had become increasingly apparent during previous engagements. He acknowledged the thoroughness of my analysis while expressing reservations about strategic recommendations that challenged conventional industrial marketing approaches. His systematic methodology prioritized risk mitigation over opportunity exploitation, leading him to recommend conservative positioning that satisfied client expectations while missing breakthrough possibilities. Elena, your research provides valuable insights about Phoenix's market dynamics, Marcus explained with the measured tone that characterized his feedback on innovative strategic recommendations. However, manufacturing companies typically prefer messaging that emphasizes reliability and technical competence rather than experimental approaches that might confuse their target customers or complicate their sales processes. His analysis reflected consulting background that prioritized client comfort over breakthrough results, leading him to recommend conventional positioning strategies that aligned with industry standards rather than exploring innovative approaches that could generate exceptional outcomes. Marcus viewed advertising strategy as risk management rather than creative problem-solving, constraining his ability to recognize transformative opportunities that required challenging established assumptions. The philosophical difference became more pronounced during strategy development sessions, where Marcus emphasized systematic methodology, while I recognized creative possibilities that could deliver superior results. His presentations satisfied conventional expectations, while missing opportunities to exceed those expectations through innovative thinking and strategic creativity that addressed client challenges more effectively than traditional approaches. However, my frustration with Marcus's conservative strategic framework motivated me to develop comprehensive alternative recommendations that demonstrated how innovative positioning could generate breakthrough results for Phoenix Manufacturing. Working independently during evenings and weekends, I created detailed strategic proposals that combined analytical rigor with creative problem-solving approaches that addressed market opportunities Marcus's conventional framework could not exploit. The alternative strategy emphasized Phoenix's unique capability to provide small businesses with enterprise-level operational efficiency through accessible automation technologies. Rather than focusing on technical specifications, the positioning highlighted business transformation outcomes that resonated with growth-oriented entrepreneurs seeking competitive advantages through technological innovation. The messaging framework translated complex engineering capabilities into accessible business benefits that non-technical decision-makers could understand and appreciate. Instead of emphasizing manufacturing expertise, the communication strategy positioned Phoenix as business optimization partners who understood small business challenges and provided technological solutions that generated measurable operational improvements. The campaign concepts integrated educational content that helped potential customers understand automation opportunities, while positioning Phoenix as thought leaders who could guide technological adoption processes, rather than traditional product marketing. The approach emphasized strategic consulting that addressed business objectives through technological innovation. When I presented this alternative strategic framework to Marcus during our regular project review session, his reaction revealed the depth of philosophical differences that separated our approaches to client service and creative problem-solving. He examined my comprehensive proposal with obvious surprise at the sophistication and innovation it represented, but his response emphasized process adherence rather than strategic merit. "Elena, this represents impressive analytical work and creative thinking," Marcus acknowledged, while maintaining the professional distance that characterized his management style. However, developing comprehensive strategic recommendations exceeds your current role responsibilities. Our collaborative process requires that strategic frameworks originate from creative direction rather than research support functions. His feedback revealed institutional hierarchy concerns that prioritized organizational structure over strategic innovation. Marcus viewed my comprehensive strategic development as inappropriate role expansion rather than valuable contribution that could enhance client outcomes and agency reputation. The response demonstrated how organizational constraints could prevent recognition of talent that challenged conventional authority structures. Despite Marcus's reservations about my strategic development activities, the Phoenix Manufacturing engagement provided my first opportunity to present research findings directly to client leadership during a comprehensive campaign review session. The presentation allowed me to demonstrate analytical capabilities and strategic insights without Marcus's interpretive filtering, creating direct client exposure that would prove crucial for building professional relationships independent of his oversight. David Phoenix, the company's chief executive officer, attended the presentation along with his marketing director and several senior managers who would oversee campaign implementation. The session provided opportunities for detailed discussion about market research findings and strategic implications that Marcus typically summarized rather than presenting comprehensively. My presentation emphasized consumer research insights that revealed specific messaging opportunities for reaching non-traditional customer segments effectively. The analysis demonstrated how Phoenix's technological capabilities could address small business operational challenges while positioning the company as innovation partners rather than equipment suppliers. The strategic framework provided actionable recommendations that client leadership could implement immediately rather than theoretical concepts requiring additional development. David Phoenix's response to my presentation revealed sophisticated understanding of strategic marketing principles and genuine appreciation for innovative thinking that challenged conventional industry approaches. His questions indicated recognition that my research had identified opportunities that traditional manufacturing marketing could not address effectively. Elena, your analysis provides insights about our market potential that we have not encountered from previous marketing consultants, David commented during the question and answer session following my presentation. Your understanding of small business psychology and operational challenges suggests strategic possibilities that could transform our competitive position. Have you developed specific implementation recommendations based on these insights? David's question indicated client hunger for comprehensive strategic thinking, rather than conventional consulting approaches. His appreciation for my analytical depth and innovative recommendations provided confidence for presenting the alternative strategic framework I had developed independently, despite Marcus's concerns about role appropriateness and process adherence. The alternative strategy presentation generated immediate client enthusiasm that contrasted sharply with typical responses to Marcus's conventional positioning approaches. David and his team demonstrated genuine excitement about messaging concepts that positioned Phoenix as business transformation partners rather than equipment suppliers. The innovative framework addressed competitive challenges that traditional manufacturing marketing could not resolve effectively. This strategic approach represents exactly the kind of innovative thinking we need for reaching new market segments, David explained after reviewing my comprehensive recommendations. Your positioning concepts communicate our value proposition in ways that resonate with sophisticated customers while differentiating us from conventional automation companies. Can Sterling and Associates implement this strategic framework for our upcoming campaign? David's question created immediate tension with Marcus, who had not anticipated that my independent strategic development would generate direct client endorsement that challenged his conventional framework. The situation required diplomatic navigation that acknowledged Marcus's creative authority while recognizing client preference for innovative approaches that could deliver superior results. Marcus's response revealed discomfort with client enthusiasm for strategic recommendations that originated outside his systematic development process. He attempted to position my alternative framework as preliminary concepts requiring further refinement, rather than comprehensive strategies ready for implementation. His explanation emphasized collaborative development while minimizing my independent contribution to strategic innovation. Elena's research provides valuable foundation material that we can incorporate into our strategic framework, Marcus explained with diplomatic language that maintained his creative authority while acknowledging client appreciation for my innovative thinking. Our collaborative process ensures that creative concepts receive proper development and quality control before campaign implementation. However, David's continued questions about specific implementation details revealed his preference for my innovative strategic approach over Marcus's conventional positioning framework. The client's sophisticated understanding of marketing strategy enabled him to recognize that my recommendations addressed competitive challenges more effectively than traditional manufacturing marketing approaches. The session concluded with David requesting additional development of my strategic framework rather than Marcus's conventional approach, creating unprecedented client preference for my innovative thinking over established creative authority. The outcome represented my first direct strategic victory that challenged organizational hierarchy through superior client value rather than internal political maneuvering. Following the client presentation, Marcus scheduled a private meeting to address what he characterized as inappropriate role expansion that had created confusion about strategic authority and creative responsibility. His concerns focused on organizational structure rather than strategic merit, revealing how institutional constraints could prevent recognition of talent that generated superior client outcomes. Elena, your enthusiasm for strategic development demonstrates admirable professional ambition, Marcus began with the measured tone he employed for delivering corrective guidance. However, Developing comprehensive strategic recommendations without proper oversight creates coordination challenges and client confusion about creative authority. Our collaborative process requires clear role boundaries that ensure quality, control, and strategic consistency. His feedback emphasized process adherence over strategic innovation, reflecting consulting background that prioritized systematic methodology over creative problem-solving. Marcus viewed my independent strategic development as procedural violation rather than valuable contribution that enhanced client outcomes and agency reputation. However, David Phoenix's subsequent communication with Sterling and Associates leadership provided external validation that challenged Marcus's assessment of role appropriateness and strategic merit. The client's formal request for implementation of my innovative strategic framework created agency pressure for recognizing talent that generated superior business results, regardless of organizational hierarchy. Patricia Sterling, the agency's founding partner, scheduled a comprehensive review session to evaluate the Phoenix manufacturing engagement and assess strategic development processes that had generated exceptional client enthusiasm. The meeting provided opportunities for presenting my analytical work and strategic thinking directly to senior leadership without Marcus's interpretive filtering. Patricia's evaluation of my Phoenix strategy revealed sophisticated understanding of innovative, strategic thinking and genuine appreciation for analytical depth that generated actionable client recommendations. Her questions focused on strategic merit, rather than organizational structure, indicating recognition that talent should be evaluated based on results rather than role constraints. Elena, your strategic framework for Phoenix manufacturing demonstrates exceptional analytical sophistication and creative innovation, Patricia observed after reviewing my comprehensive recommendations. Your understanding of market dynamics and strategic positioning exceeds typical expectations for account coordination. Roles. Have you considered expanded strategic responsibilities that could utilize these capabilities more effectively? Patricia's question represented unprecedented recognition from senior leadership that challenged conventional advancement processes through demonstrated strategic capability rather than tenure or role progression. Her appreciation for my innovative thinking provided confidence for pursuing expanded authority that aligned professional responsibilities with actual contributions to client success. The Phoenix manufacturing success established patterns that would characterize subsequent client engagements, where my analytical capabilities and strategic innovation consistently generated superior outcomes compared to conventional approaches. Each project reinforced client appreciation for innovative thinking while highlighting limitations of systematic methodology that prioritized risk avoidance over creative problem-solving. The quantum tech engagement that followed Phoenix provided additional opportunities for demonstrating strategic capabilities that exceeded conventional account coordination expectations. Quantum required comprehensive brand repositioning for transitioning from government contracting to commercial technology markets, presenting complex communication challenges that demanded both analytical rigor and creative innovation. Marcus assigned me primary responsibility for market research and competitive analysis, expecting my findings to support his conventional positioning framework for technology company marketing. However, the research revealed strategic opportunities that traditional approaches could not address effectively, requiring innovative messaging strategies that challenged industry assumptions about technology marketing. The consumer research identified sophisticated commercial customers who valued strategic technology, partnerships over conventional vendor relationships. These decision-makers sought technology solutions that addressed business objectives rather than technical specifications, creating opportunities for positioning Quantum as strategic consultants rather than equipment suppliers. The competitive analysis revealed significant messaging gaps that Quantum could exploit through innovative positioning strategies that differentiated them from traditional technology companies. Rather than emphasizing technical capabilities, the strategic framework could highlight business transformation outcomes that resonated with sophisticated customers seeking competitive advantages through technological innovation. When I presented these research findings to Marcus, his response followed established patterns of acknowledging analytical quality while expressing reservations about strategic recommendations that challenged conventional technology marketing approaches. His systematic methodology led him to recommend conservative positioning that satisfied industry expectations while missing opportunities for breakthrough results. However, my Phoenix manufacturing success had generated internal recognition that provided authority for developing comprehensive strategic alternatives independently of Marcus's oversight. Working with implicit approval from Patricia Sterling, I created detailed positioning proposals that demonstrated how innovative approaches could generate exceptional outcomes for Quantum's commercial transition. The alternative strategy emphasized Quantum's unique capability to provide commercial customers with government-grade technology solutions through accessible implementation processes. Rather than focusing on technical specifications, the positioning highlighted business security outcomes that resonated with sophisticated decision-makers seeking technological advantages over traditional commercial solutions. The messaging framework translated complex government technology capabilities into accessible commercial benefits that business leaders could understand and appreciate. Instead of emphasizing technical expertise, the communication strategy positioned Quantum as security optimization partners who understood commercial challenges and provided technological solutions that generated measurable operational improvements. During the client presentation of research findings, Quantum's leadership demonstrated immediate appreciation for strategic insights that addressed their commercial transition challenges more effectively than conventional technology marketing approaches. Their questions revealed sophisticated understanding of strategic positioning and genuine interest in innovative frameworks that could differentiate them from traditional commercial technology companies. Michael Chen, Quantum's chief marketing officer, provided direct feedback that validated my strategic thinking while highlighting limitations of conventional technology marketing for addressing complex commercial positioning challenges. His appreciation for innovative approaches created client preference for my strategic framework over Marcus's conventional positioning recommendations. Elena, your analysis identifies commercial positioning opportunities that traditional technology marketing approaches completely miss, Michael observed during the research presentation session. Your understanding of business customer psychology and security challenges suggests strategic possibilities that could establish us as commercial market leaders rather than government contractor newcomers. Michael's recognition provided external validation that reinforced internal acknowledgement of my strategic capabilities. His preference for innovative positioning over conventional approaches created client leverage that challenged organizational hierarchy through superior business results rather than internal political processes. The pattern of client appreciation for my strategic innovation, combined with Marcus's resistance to expanded role authority, was creating unsustainable tension that would eventually require organizational resolution. Each successful engagement generated client preference for my analytical depth and creative problem-solving while highlighting limitations of systematic methodology that constrained strategic possibilities. The foundation was being established for direct confrontation between innovative strategic capability and conventional organizational authority that would ultimately determine whether Sterling and Associates could recognize talent that generated superior client outcomes regardless of traditional advancement processes. My journey from account coordination to strategic innovation was creating value that clients recognized and demanded, setting the stage for the dramatic transformation that would follow when organizational politics collided with undeniable business results. The escalating tension between my strategic capabilities and Marcus Hamilton's organizational authority reached a critical juncture during my third year at Sterling and Associates, when client preference for my innovative approaches began challenging his creative leadership in ways that threatened his professional standing within the agency. The transformation from collaborative coordinator to strategic competitor created institutional dynamics that would ultimately force recognition of my indispensable value through direct business results rather than traditional advancement processes. The catalyst for this professional confrontation emerged through the Millennium Healthcare account, a regional hospital system that required comprehensive brand repositioning to compete effectively with national healthcare networks and emerging urgent care providers. Millennium faced existential challenges from multiple competitive directions, including corporate healthcare systems with superior operational efficiency and specialized medical providers that offered greater convenience and targeted services for specific patient populations. Patricia Sterling personally assigned the Millennium Healthcare engagement to Marcus, recognizing that success or failure would significantly impact the agency's reputation within the lucrative healthcare marketing sector. The project represented Sterling and Associates' largest potential contract, worth $15 million annually if executed successfully, making strategic leadership critical for both client outcomes and agency financial performance. Marcus approached the Millennium engagement with characteristic systematic methodology, emphasizing comprehensive market research and conservative strategic positioning that minimized risks while reinforcing the hospital system's established community relationships. His initial framework focused on trust building and relationship development, conventional approaches that reflected healthcare industry best practices, but lacked innovative elements that could differentiate Millennium from numerous competitors pursuing identical positioning strategies. However, Patricia Sterling made an unprecedented decision that would fundamentally alter the project's strategic development process. Rather than assigning me traditional research support responsibilities, she granted me direct authority for developing strategic recommendations that would be presented alongside Marcus's conventional framework. The expanded role provided opportunities for demonstrating comprehensive strategic capabilities while creating potential conflict with established creative hierarchy. Elena, your strategic thinking has consistently exceeded client expectations across multiple engagements, Patricia explained during our private planning session. The Millennium Healthcare Project requires innovative approaches that challenge conventional healthcare marketing assumptions. I want you to develop comprehensive strategic alternatives that demonstrate how creative problem-solving can generate breakthrough results for complex competitive challenges. Patricia's decision represented unprecedented recognition from senior leadership that positioned my strategic capabilities as valuable institutional assets rather than supporting functions for established creative authority. The expanded responsibility provided platforms for demonstrating innovative thinking, while creating direct comparison opportunities between systematic methodology and creative problem-solving approaches. The research phase for Millennium Healthcare revealed extraordinary strategic complexities that conventional healthcare marketing approaches could not address effectively. The hospital system faced competitive pressure from multiple directions, requiring sophisticated positioning strategies that transcended traditional healthcare messaging methodologies while addressing diverse patient population needs and expectations. Consumer research with current and potential patients revealed fundamental changes in healthcare decision-making processes that created both challenges and opportunities for regional providers like Millennium. Traditional advantages such as physician relationships and community connection remained valuable, but patients increasingly prioritized convenience, specialization, and technological sophistication over historical loyalty and established provider relationships. The demographic analysis identified emerging patient segments that valued comprehensive healthcare coordination and personalized service over institutional reputation and traditional medical hierarchies. These sophisticated healthcare consumers represented premium market opportunities that could generate higher margins while building sustainable competitive advantages over corporate healthcare systems that emphasized operational efficiency over patient experience. Most significantly, the competitive intelligence research revealed specific positioning gaps that Millennium could exploit through innovative strategic approaches. National healthcare networks emphasized operational efficiency and systematic care protocols, while specialized providers focused on convenience and targeted medical services. Neither competitive segment effectively addressed patient desire for comprehensive healthcare partnerships that combined medical expertise with personalized attention and coordinated care management. The consumer interviews revealed patient frustration, with fragmented healthcare experiences that required navigation of complex institutional structures and impersonal service delivery systems. Millennium's comprehensive service model and community integration positioned them uniquely to address these coordination challenges through innovative messaging that emphasized healthcare partnership rather than traditional provider-patient relationships. When I presented these research findings during the comprehensive strategy development session, the response from both Marcus and Patricia Sterling revealed fundamental differences in strategic thinking that would define subsequent project dynamics. Marcus acknowledged the analytical quality while expressing reservations about strategic recommendations that challenged conventional healthcare marketing approaches, while Patricia demonstrated immediate appreciation for innovative insights that addressed competitive challenges more effectively than traditional positioning strategies. Elena, your research identifies healthcare market evolution patterns that conventional industry analysis typically overlooks, Patricia observed during the presentation review session. Your understanding of patient psychology and healthcare decision-making processes suggests strategic possibilities that could establish Millennium as a healthcare innovation leader rather than a traditional community provider. Patricia's recognition contrasted sharply with Marcus's systematic methodology that emphasized risk mitigation over opportunity exploitation. His response focused on client comfort and industry standards rather than breakthrough positioning that could generate exceptional competitive advantages through innovative strategic thinking. The philosophical difference became more pronounced during subsequent strategy development sessions, where Marcus emphasized conventional healthcare marketing approaches, while I developed comprehensive frameworks that addressed market opportunities. Through creative problem-solving and innovative positioning strategies that challenged industry assumptions. Working independently during evenings and weekends, I created detailed strategic proposals that demonstrated how innovative positioning could generate breakthrough results for Millennium Healthcare. The alternative strategy emphasized the hospital system's unique capability to provide patients with coordinated healthcare experiences that combined medical expertise with personalized service and comprehensive care management. Rather than focusing on institutional credentials and medical capabilities, the positioning highlighted healthcare partnership outcomes that resonated with sophisticated patients seeking alternatives to fragmented corporate healthcare experiences. The messaging framework translated complex medical services into accessible healthcare benefits that patients could understand and appreciate, while positioning Millennium as healthcare advocates rather than traditional service providers. The campaign concepts integrated educational content that helped patients understand healthcare options while positioning Millennium as thought leaders who could guide medical decision-making processes. Rather than traditional provider marketing, the approach emphasized healthcare consulting that addressed patient objectives through coordinated medical care and personalized service delivery. The comprehensive strategic framework included specific implementation recommendations that addressed operational requirements for delivering coordinated healthcare experiences while building sustainable competitive advantages over corporate systems that prioritized efficiency over patient satisfaction. The proposal demonstrated how innovative positioning could generate measurable business results while enhancing patient outcomes and community health indicators. When I presented this alternative strategic framework during the formal client review session, the response from Millennium's leadership team revealed immediate appreciation for innovative thinking that addressed their competitive challenges more effectively than conventional healthcare marketing approaches. Their questions indicated sophisticated understanding of strategic positioning and genuine enthusiasm for messaging concepts that differentiated them from traditional healthcare providers. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, Millennium's Chief Medical Officer, attended the presentation along with the marketing director and several senior administrators who would oversee campaign implementation. The comprehensive session provided opportunities for detailed discussion about strategic recommendations and implementation requirements that would transform Millennium's competitive positioning within regional healthcare markets. Elena, your strategic framework addresses healthcare market evolution in ways that conventional marketing approaches completely miss, Dr. Walsh commented during the question and answer session following my presentation. Your understanding of patient expectations and healthcare coordination challenges suggests positioning possibilities that could establish us as healthcare innovation leaders rather than traditional community providers. Dr. Walsh's enthusiasm for innovative strategic thinking contrasted sharply with typical client responses to Marcus's conventional positioning approaches. Her appreciation for comprehensive problem-solving and creative messaging concepts indicated sophisticated client recognition that my strategic capabilities exceeded standard healthcare marketing methodologies. The client's continued questions about specific implementation details revealed their preference for my innovative strategic approach over Marcus's systematic framework. Millennium's leadership demonstrated genuine excitement about positioning, concepts that addressed competitive challenges through creative problem-solving, rather than conventional risk management and industry-standard messaging. This strategic approach represents exactly the kind of innovative thinking we need for competing effectively with corporate healthcare systems, Dr. Walsh explained after reviewing my comprehensive recommendations. Your positioning concepts communicate our value proposition in ways that resonate with sophisticated patients while differentiating us from institutional competitors. Can Sterling and Associates implement this strategic framework for our upcoming campaign? Dr. Walsh's question created immediate tension with Marcus, who had anticipated that his conventional healthcare marketing framework would receive client approval without significant modification. The situation required diplomatic navigation that acknowledged his creative authority, while recognizing client preference for innovative approaches that could deliver superior competitive results. Marcus's response revealed discomfort with client enthusiasm for strategic recommendations that originated outside his systematic development process. He attempted to position my alternative framework as supplementary concepts requiring integration with his comprehensive strategy rather than standalone recommendations ready for immediate implementation. Elena's strategic development provides valuable creative elements that we can incorporate into our comprehensive healthcare marketing framework, Marcus explained with diplomatic language that maintained his creative authority while acknowledging client appreciation for my innovative thinking. Our collaborative process ensures that creative concepts receive proper strategic development and quality control before campaign implementation. However, Dr. Walsh's subsequent questions about my strategic framework revealed her clear preference for innovative positioning over conventional healthcare marketing approaches. The client's sophisticated understanding of strategic marketing enabled her to recognize that my recommendations addressed competitive challenges more effectively than traditional provider messaging strategies. I appreciate the collaborative development process, Dr. Walsh responded with professional diplomacy that barely concealed her strategic preferences. However, Elena's positioning concepts directly address our competitive challenges in ways that conventional healthcare marketing approaches cannot match. We would prefer to move forward with her strategic framework rather than modifying it through additional development processes. The client's explicit preference for my strategic recommendations over Marcus's conventional framework created unprecedented organizational tension that challenged established creative hierarchy through superior business results rather than internal political maneuvering. The situation required immediate attention from Patricia Sterling to resolve client expectations while maintaining agency leadership structure. Patricia's response to the client preference dilemma revealed sophisticated understanding of talent, recognition, and strategic value creation that prioritized business results over organizational hierarchy. Her decision to support client preferences while restructuring project authority demonstrated leadership capability that recognized exceptional performance regardless of traditional advancement processes. Dr. Walsh, Sterling and Associates appreciates your confidence in Elena's strategic thinking. Patricia responded with professional diplomacy that acknowledged client preferences while maintaining agency credibility. We will implement Elena's strategic framework with appropriate creative support to ensure comprehensive campaign development and successful execution. Patricia's decision to prioritize my strategic framework over Marcus's conventional approach represented unprecedented recognition that challenged traditional creative authority through demonstrated client value rather than institutional hierarchy. The outcome established patterns that would define subsequent project assignments and professional advancement opportunities within the agency. Following the client presentation, Marcus scheduled a private meeting to address what he characterized as inappropriate strategic competition that had undermined his creative authority and compromised agency leadership structure. His concerns focused on organizational hierarchy rather than strategic merit, revealing how institutional constraints could prevent recognition of talent that generated superior client outcomes. Elena, your strategic development activities have created confusion about creative responsibility and project authority. Marcus began with measured language that barely concealed his frustration with client preference for my innovative thinking. Our collaborative process requires clear role boundaries that ensure quality control and strategic consistency. Independent strategy development without proper oversight compromises agency credibility and client confidence in our leadership structure. His feedback emphasized institutional hierarchy over strategic innovation, reflecting systematic methodology that prioritized organizational structure rather than creative problem-solving. Marcus viewed my independent strategic development as procedural violation rather than valuable contribution that enhanced client outcomes and agency reputation through superior business results. However, Patricia Sterling's subsequent communication with both Marcus and me provided organizational clarity that prioritized talent recognition over traditional hierarchy when demonstrated capabilities generated exceptional client value. Her decision to restructure project authority based on strategic merit rather than institutional position established precedents that would influence future advancement opportunities. Elena, your strategic capabilities have consistently exceeded client expectations and generated superior business results, Patricia explained during our comprehensive review session. The Millennium Healthcare success demonstrates strategic thinking that warrants expanded authority and recognition within our agency structure. Marcus will continue overseeing creative coordination, while you assume primary responsibility for strategic development on major accounts. Patricia's decision represented transformational recognition that elevated my professional status from supporting coordinator to strategic authority through demonstrated client value rather than traditional advancement processes. The expanded responsibility provided platforms for building direct client relationships while establishing strategic leadership that could influence agency direction and competitive positioning. The organizational restructuring that followed, the Millennium Healthcare success created new dynamics between Marcus and me that reflected fundamental changes in professional authority and strategic responsibility. Rather than collaborative coordination, our relationship evolved into competitive coexistence, where my strategic innovations consistently generated superior client outcomes compared to his conventional approaches. Marcus's response to the changed organizational structure revealed discomfort with professional hierarchy that prioritized demonstrated capability over traditional advancement processes. His systematic methodology, that had once provided strategic authority, became limiting constraint that prevented recognition of innovative opportunities and creative problem-solving approaches that clients increasingly demanded. The tension escalated. During subsequent client engagements, where my strategic thinking consistently generated exceptional results, while Marcus's conventional frameworks failed to address competitive challenges effectively. Each successful project reinforced client preference for innovative approaches while highlighting limitations of systematic methodology that constrained creative possibilities. The Apex technology engagement that immediately followed Millennium Healthcare provided additional evidence of client appreciation for strategic innovation over conventional positioning approaches. Apex required comprehensive brand repositioning for transitioning from enterprise software development to consumer technology markets, presenting complex communication challenges that demanded both analytical rigor and creative thinking. Patricia. Sterling assigned primary strategic responsibility directly to me while designating Marcus as creative coordination support, reversing traditional authority structures through recognition of demonstrated capabilities rather than institutional hierarchy. The role reversal created opportunities for implementing comprehensive strategic frameworks without systematic constraints that had previously limited innovative possibilities. The consumer research for Apex technology revealed sophisticated market opportunities that conventional enterprise marketing approaches could not address effectively. Consumer technology customers valued intuitive user experiences and seamless integration over technical specifications and enterprise capabilities, requiring innovative messaging strategies that challenged industry assumptions about technology marketing. My strategic framework emphasized Apex's unique capability to provide consumer customers with enterprise-grade software reliability through accessible user interfaces and simplified implementation processes. Rather than focusing on technical capabilities, the positioning highlighted productivity outcomes that resonated with sophisticated consumers seeking technological advantages through user-friendly solutions. The client presentation of my comprehensive strategic recommendations generated immediate enthusiasm from Apex leadership that validated innovative thinking over conventional technology marketing approaches. Their appreciation for creative problem-solving and strategic innovation confirmed client preference for capabilities that generated breakthrough results rather than systematic risk management. Elena, your strategic framework addresses consumer technology market dynamics in ways that traditional enterprise marketing completely misses, commented Rebecca Chen, Apex's chief marketing officer, during the strategy review session. Your understanding of consumer psychology and technology adoption patterns suggests positioning possibilities that could establish us as consumer market leaders, rather than enterprise software companies entering consumer markets. Rebecca's recognition reinforced the pattern of client appreciation for innovative strategic thinking that exceeded conventional consulting approaches. Her enthusiasm for comprehensive problem-solving confirmed that sophisticated business leaders valued creative capabilities over systematic methodology when facing complex competitive challenges. The successful completion of both Millennium Healthcare and Apex technology engagements within a 6-month period established my reputation as strategic innovator who could generate exceptional client results through creative problem-solving and analytical rigor. The consistent pattern of client preference for my strategic thinking over conventional approaches created agency pressure for additional recognition and expanded authority. Patricia Sterling's decision to promote me to Senior Strategic Director represented formal acknowledgement of capabilities that had already been demonstrated through superior client outcomes. The advancement provided organizational authority that aligned professional responsibility with actual contributions to agency success and client satisfaction. The promotion created unprecedented tension with Marcus, whose creative authority had been systematically challenged through client preference for innovative strategic thinking over conventional positioning approaches. The organizational changes reflected agency recognition that talent should be rewarded based on demonstrated value rather than traditional hierarchy or systematic methodology. The stage was now set for the direct confrontation that would ultimately determine whether established authority could maintain organizational control when challenged by superior client value and innovative strategic thinking that generated measurable business results. The transformation from Senior Strategic Director to indispensable client advocate accelerated dramatically during the months following my promotion, as Patricia Sterling granted me unprecedented autonomy to develop strategic frameworks that consistently exceeded client expectations while bypassing traditional creative hierarchy entirely. This operational independence created direct pathways between my innovative thinking and client implementation, generating business results that established my reputation as Sterling and Associates' primary strategic asset, while simultaneously threatening Marcus Hamilton's relevance within the agency structure. The structural change became immediately apparent through the Consolidated Energy account, a major utility company that required comprehensive strategic repositioning to address regulatory changes, environmental concerns, and evolving consumer expectations regarding sustainable energy solutions. Consolidated Energy represented Sterling and Associates' most complex strategic challenge, involving multiple stakeholder groups with conflicting interests and regulatory requirements that demanded sophisticated communication strategies capable of addressing diverse audience needs simultaneously. Patricia Sterling assigned the Consolidated Energy engagement directly to my authority without involving Marcus in strategic development phases, marking the first major account where I possessed complete creative control from initial research through campaign implementation. The assignment represented unprecedented professional autonomy that provided opportunities for demonstrating comprehensive strategic capabilities without systematic constraints or conventional positioning limitations. The research phase revealed extraordinary complexity within energy sector marketing that conventional utility approaches could not address effectively. Consolidated Energy faced pressure from environmental advocates demanding sustainable practices, regulatory authorities requiring compliance transparency, consumer groups seeking affordable energy solutions, and shareholders expecting profitable operations despite increasing compliance costs and infrastructure investment requirements. Traditional utility marketing emphasized operational reliability and regulatory compliance, approaches that satisfied baseline stakeholder expectations, without addressing evolving demands for environmental responsibility and sustainable energy leadership. The conventional framework provided adequate stakeholder communication, but missed opportunities for positioning Consolidated Energy as innovation leaders who could transform energy sector standards through strategic environmental initiatives. Consumer research revealed sophisticated energy customers who valued environmental responsibility and technological innovation over traditional utility considerations, such as price stability and service reliability. These environmentally conscious consumers represented premium market segments that could generate higher margins while building sustainable competitive advantages over traditional utilities that emphasized operational efficiency rather than environmental leadership. The stakeholder analysis identified specific positioning opportunities that Consolidated Energy could exploit through innovative messaging strategies that addressed multiple audience needs through coordinated communication frameworks. Rather than developing separate campaigns for different stakeholder groups, the strategic approach could integrate environmental responsibility, operational excellence, and regulatory compliance into comprehensive positioning that demonstrated leadership across all performance dimensions. Most significantly, the competitive intelligence research revealed that traditional utility companies had failed to develop authentic environmental messaging that resonated with sophisticated stakeholders who understood energy sector challenges and expected genuine commitment to sustainable practices rather than superficial marketing campaigns that emphasized compliance rather than innovation. The comprehensive strategic framework I developed for Consolidated Energy emphasized their unique capability to provide stakeholders with sustainable energy leadership through operational innovation and environmental responsibility, rather than focusing on regulatory compliance and operational reliability. The positioning highlighted environmental stewardship outcomes that resonated with sophisticated stakeholders seeking energy partnerships rather than traditional utility relationships. The messaging strategy translated complex energy operations into accessible environmental benefits that diverse stakeholder groups could understand and appreciate. Instead of emphasizing technical capabilities, the communication framework positioned Consolidated Energy as sustainability partners who understood environmental challenges and provided energy solutions that generated measurable ecological improvements while maintaining operational excellence. The campaign concepts integrated educational content that helped stakeholders understand sustainable energy opportunities, while positioning Consolidated Energy as thought leaders who could guide energy transition processes. Rather than traditional utility marketing, the approach emphasized environmental consulting that addressed stakeholder objectives through innovative energy solutions and sustainable operational practices. The implementation strategy included specific operational recommendations that addressed stakeholder requirements for authentic environmental commitment while building sustainable competitive advantages over traditional utilities that prioritized operational efficiency over environmental leadership. The proposal demonstrated how innovative positioning could generate measurable business results while enhancing environmental outcomes and stakeholder satisfaction. When I presented this comprehensive strategic framework during the formal client review session, the response from Consolidated Energy's leadership team revealed immediate appreciation for strategic thinking that addressed their complex stakeholder challenges more effectively than conventional utility marketing approaches. Their questions indicated sophisticated understanding of strategic positioning and genuine enthusiasm for messaging concepts that differentiated them from traditional energy providers. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, Consolidated Energy's Chief Executive Officer, attended the presentation along with the Environmental Affairs Director, Regulatory Compliance Manager, and several senior executives who would oversee campaign implementation. The comprehensive session provided opportunities for detailed discussion about strategic recommendations and implementation requirements that would transform Consolidated Energy's stakeholder positioning within competitive energy markets. Elena, your strategic framework addresses energy sector evolution in ways that conventional utility marketing approaches completely ignore, Dr. Rodriguez commented during the extensive question and answer session following my presentation. Your understanding of stakeholder expectations and environmental responsibilities suggests positioning possibilities that could establish us as energy innovation leaders rather than traditional utility providers. Dr. Rodriguez's enthusiasm for innovative strategic thinking demonstrated sophisticated client recognition that my strategic capabilities exceeded standard utility marketing methodologies. His appreciation for comprehensive problem-solving and environmental messaging concepts indicated client preference for creative approaches that addressed complex stakeholder challenges through strategic innovation rather than conventional risk management. The client's detailed questions about implementation requirements and operational changes revealed their commitment to authentic environmental leadership rather than superficial marketing campaigns. Consolidated Energy's leadership understood that positioning credibility required operational alignment with messaging commitments, creating opportunities for comprehensive strategic consulting that extended beyond traditional advertising services. Your strategic approach represents exactly the kind of transformational thinking we need for establishing authentic environmental leadership, Dr. Rodriguez explained after reviewing my comprehensive recommendations. The positioning concepts communicate our commitment to sustainable practices while differentiating us from utilities that emphasize compliance rather than innovation. We want to implement this strategic framework immediately. The client's immediate approval for comprehensive implementation represented unprecedented strategic validation that confirmed my capabilities for managing complex stakeholder communication without traditional creative oversight or systematic constraints. The success established patterns for direct client authority that bypassed conventional agency hierarchy through superior business results. The Consolidated Energy engagement generated extraordinary business outcomes that exceeded client expectations while establishing new standards for strategic consulting within Sterling and Associates. The campaign implementation resulted in measurable stakeholder satisfaction improvements, regulatory recognition for environmental leadership, and consumer preference increases that validated innovative positioning over conventional utility marketing approaches. More significantly, the success attracted attention from other major corporations that sought similar strategic innovation for addressing complex stakeholder challenges through creative problem-solving rather than traditional marketing methodologies. The client referrals generated new business opportunities that positioned Sterling and Associates as strategic consultancy rather than conventional advertising agency. Patricia Sterling's response to the Consolidated Energy success revealed her recognition that my strategic capabilities represented transformational competitive advantages for the agency's positioning within professional services markets. Her decision to restructure my responsibilities provided additional autonomy while establishing formal recognition of strategic leadership that transcended traditional advertising services. Elena, your strategic thinking has transformed Sterling and Associates' competitive positioning within strategic consulting markets, Patricia observed during our comprehensive performance review session. The Consolidated Energy success demonstrates capabilities that warrant independence from traditional, creative oversight and direct authority for developing client relationships that reflect your strategic expertise. Patricia's recognition represented unprecedented professional advancement that elevated my status from strategic director to independent consultant with direct client authority and autonomous project development capabilities. The expanded responsibility provided platforms for building comprehensive business relationships while establishing strategic leadership that could influence agency direction and competitive positioning. The organizational restructuring that followed the Consolidated Energy success created fundamental changes in agency operations that reflected formal recognition of my strategic value, independent of traditional hierarchy or creative oversight. Rather than supporting established creative authority, my responsibilities evolved toward autonomous strategic consulting that competed directly with conventional agency services. Marcus Hamilton's response to these organizational changes revealed increasing discomfort with professional dynamics that challenged his creative authority through demonstrated strategic capabilities and client preference for innovative thinking over systematic methodology. His conventional approaches had become limiting constraints that prevented agency adaptation to evolving client expectations for strategic consulting rather than traditional advertising services. The tension escalated significantly during the subsequent global financial services engagement, where Patricia Sterling assigned me complete strategic authority while designating Marcus as administrative coordinator rather than creative leader. The role reversal represented formal acknowledgement that client requirements exceeded conventional creative capabilities and demanded strategic innovation that Marcus's systematic methodology could not provide. Global financial services required comprehensive brand repositioning for expanding international operations while addressing regulatory compliance requirements across multiple jurisdictions and diverse customer expectations regarding financial service delivery. The complexity demanded strategic frameworks that integrated legal requirements, cultural considerations, and competitive positioning through innovative approaches that conventional financial marketing could not address effectively. The research phase revealed extraordinary strategic challenges that required sophisticated understanding of international financial regulations, cultural communication preferences, and competitive dynamics within global markets. Traditional financial services marketing emphasized institutional stability and regulatory compliance, approaches that satisfied baseline requirements without addressing opportunities for competitive differentiation through innovative service, delivery, and strategic positioning. Consumer research across multiple international markets revealed sophisticated financial customers who valued personalized service and innovative solutions over traditional institutional considerations, such as asset size and regulatory compliance. These internationally minded customers represented premium market segments that could generate higher margins while building sustainable competitive advantages over traditional financial institutions that emphasized operational scale rather than service innovation. The competitive analysis identified specific positioning opportunities that global financial services could exploit through innovative messaging strategies that addressed international customer needs through coordinated service frameworks. Rather than developing separate approaches for different markets, the strategic framework could integrate regulatory compliance, cultural sensitivity, and service innovation into comprehensive positioning that demonstrated leadership across all performance dimensions. The comprehensive strategic framework I developed emphasized global financial services' unique capability to provide international customers with personalized financial solutions through innovative service delivery and cultural adaptation. Rather than focusing on institutional scale and regulatory compliance, the positioning highlighted service excellence outcomes that resonated with sophisticated customers seeking financial partnerships rather than traditional institutional relationships. The international implementation strategy included specific operational recommendations that addressed regulatory requirements while building sustainable competitive advantages over traditional financial institutions that prioritized compliance over service innovation. The proposal demonstrated how strategic positioning could generate measurable business results while enhancing customer satisfaction and international market penetration. When I presented this strategic framework during the client review session, global financial services leadership demonstrated immediate enthusiasm for innovative thinking that addressed their international expansion challenges more effectively than conventional financial marketing approaches. Their sophisticated questions indicated appreciation for strategic depth and comprehensive problem-solving that exceeded traditional consulting methodologies. The client's immediate approval for international implementation provided additional validation of my strategic capabilities while generating business results that established Sterling and Associates as preferred consultant for complex international expansion projects. The success attracted attention from multinational corporations seeking similar strategic innovation for addressing global market challenges. However, the pattern of client preference for my strategic thinking over traditional agency services created increasing organizational tension with Marcus Hamilton, whose creative authority had been systematically replaced by my autonomous strategic consulting. His conventional positioning approaches had become irrelevant for sophisticated clients who demanded innovative solutions rather than systematic risk management. Marcus's attempts to regain creative authority through procedural challenges and organizational complaints revealed his growing desperation to maintain professional relevance within agency structure that increasingly valued strategic innovation over conventional creative hierarchy. His systematic methodology that had once provided organizational authority became limiting constraint that prevented adaptation to evolving client expectations. The confrontation escalated when Marcus approached Patricia Sterling with formal complaints about my autonomous project management and direct client authority, arguing that independent strategic consulting compromised agency coordination and creative quality control. His concerns reflected institutional hierarchy rather than business results, revealing how organizational constraints could prevent recognition of demonstrated strategic value. Elena's independent strategic development creates coordination challenges and undermines established creative processes, Marcus explained during his private meeting with Patricia Sterling. Our agency reputation depends on systematic quality, control, and collaborative creative development, rather than individual consulting that bypasses institutional oversight and creative coordination. Marcus's feedback emphasized organizational structure over strategic innovation, reflecting systematic methodology that prioritized procedural adherence rather than client outcomes and business results. His perspective viewed my autonomous strategic consulting as institutional threat rather than competitive advantage that enhanced agency positioning within professional services markets. However, Patricia Sterling's response to Marcus's concerns revealed her sophisticated understanding of talent recognition and business development that prioritized demonstrated capabilities over traditional hierarchy, when strategic innovation generated exceptional client value and competitive advantages. Elena's strategic capabilities have consistently exceeded client expectations and generated superior business results that establish Sterling and Associates as strategic consultancy rather than traditional advertising agency, Patricia responded with professional directness that acknowledged business realities rather than organizational preferences. Client preference for her strategic thinking reflects market evolution that requires agency adaptation rather than resistance to demonstrated capabilities. Patricia's support for my autonomous strategic consulting represented organizational recognition that transcended traditional hierarchy through business results rather than institutional politics. Her decision established precedents for talent recognition based on demonstrated value rather than conventional advancement processes or creative oversight requirements. The organizational validation provided foundation for expanded strategic consulting that would ultimately position me as Sterling and Associates' primary client relationship manager while reducing Marcus Hamilton's relevance to administrative coordination rather than creative leadership. The transformation reflected agency evolution toward strategic consulting that aligned organizational structure with demonstrated capabilities rather than traditional hierarchy. The stage was set for the final confrontation that would determine whether Marcus Hamilton could maintain organizational authority when client preference and business results consistently favored strategic innovation over conventional creative oversight and systematic methodology that limited rather than enhanced agency competitive positioning within evolving professional services markets. The systematic erosion of Marcus Hamilton's creative authority accelerated dramatically during the fourth quarter of my third year at Sterling and Associates, as client demand for my strategic consulting began generating business results that fundamentally challenged his professional relevance within the agency structure. The transformation of my role from strategic director to autonomous consultant had created operational dynamics where clients bypassed traditional creative hierarchy entirely, seeking direct access to strategic innovation that Marcus's conventional methodology could not provide. The crisis for Marcus reached critical proportions through the Meridian Industries Expansion Project, a comprehensive strategic initiative that would determine his professional survival within an agency increasingly structured around my client relationships and strategic capabilities. Meridian Industries had specifically requested my exclusive involvement in developing their national expansion strategy, explicitly stating that their continued partnership with Sterling and Associates depended entirely on my direct strategic authority, rather than collaborative oversight or creative coordination. Catherine Morrison, Meridian's chief marketing officer, had communicated these requirements directly to Patricia Sterling during their quarterly business review meeting, creating organizational pressure that transcended traditional hierarchy. Through explicit client preference for strategic innovation over conventional creative management. The conversation had established unprecedented client leverage that challenged established agency structure through business necessity rather than internal politics. Patricia, Meridian Industries has achieved exceptional growth results through Elena Rodriguez's strategic consulting over the past 18 months, Catherine had explained, with the professional directness that characterized her communication style. Our expansion into national markets requires continued access to her strategic thinking without traditional agency oversight that could compromise the innovative approaches that have generated our competitive advantages. Catherine's statement represented more than client preference. It constituted explicit rejection of Marcus's creative authority and conventional positioning approaches that had failed to generate breakthrough results for sophisticated clients, seeking strategic innovation rather than systematic risk management. The client's requirement for my exclusive involvement created existential threats to Marcus's professional standing that demanded immediate strategic response. Marcus's initial reaction to Catherine Morrison's requirements revealed the depth of his professional desperation as traditional creative authority became systematically irrelevant within client relationships that valued strategic innovation over organizational hierarchy. His attempts to maintain oversight involvement through procedural arguments and quality control concerns demonstrated fundamental misunderstanding of client expectations that prioritized business results over institutional structure. The Meridian Industries National Expansion Project represented Sterling and Associates' most significant strategic opportunity, worth $25 million annually if executed successfully, and potentially generating referral business that could establish the agency as premier strategic consultancy within telecommunications markets. The financial implications created organizational pressure for accommodating client requirements, regardless of traditional hierarchy or creative coordination preferences. Patricia Sterling's decision to grant Meridian's request for my exclusive strategic authority represented formal recognition that client relationships had evolved beyond conventional agency services toward strategic consulting that demanded autonomous expertise rather than collaborative oversight. Her communication to Marcus about the organizational restructuring revealed sophisticated understanding of business development that prioritized demonstrated capabilities over traditional advancement processes. Marcus. Meridian Industries requires strategic consulting that exceeds traditional creative services, Patricia explained during their private meeting about project authority and organizational structure. Elena's capabilities have established client relationships that generate exceptional business results through strategic innovation that our conventional approaches cannot match. The agency must adapt to client evolution rather than constraining, demonstrated strategic value through traditional hierarchy. Patricia's explanation emphasized business necessity over organizational preferences, reflecting agency leadership that recognized talent through client validation rather than institutional politics. Her decision established precedents for strategic consulting that aligned organizational structure with demonstrated capabilities rather than conventional creative oversight requirements. Marcus's response to this organizational restructuring revealed increasing desperation as his professional identity became fundamentally challenged by client preference for strategic innovation over systematic methodology. His conventional positioning approaches had become operational constraints that prevented agency adaptation to evolving client expectations for strategic consulting rather than traditional advertising services. The psychological impact of professional marginalization intensified Marcus's strategic planning for regaining organizational authority through elimination of the strategic capabilities that had made his creative oversight irrelevant. His systematic methodology that emphasized procedural control suggested that removing my strategic consulting could restore traditional agency hierarchy and conventional creative authority. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.